So the majority of the writing I do is actually focused on like copywriting, so blog posts focused on SEO, product descriptions, category descriptions, social media captions. That's like the majority of it. But I actually do have a history of being a published poet. It's nothing special. Like my first time writing something for a book, it was for a competition in primary school, and they were doing it for like a bunch of schools in the local area, and you would submit stuff and they picked like a handful from each school. And I actually still have the book. It is called Mini Sagas, The Adventure Is Here by Young Writers, and it says Mini Sagas from Lancashire, edited by Claire Tupholme, I think it's pronounced. And Claire, I'm sorry you had to go through this. Mine is on page 12, and it actually says in the contents, my school was the first one listed, and I was 10 years old apparently at the time I wrote this, so let's go to page 12. And I dug this out the other day for a reason I'll get to later. The theme was basically trying and do like fairy tale stories, and I'm pretty sure it's obvious what mine was themed about, and it is absolutely god awful. So my story is entitled Tale Traveller. I think they said it had to be like under 100 words, and I think I tried to do 100 words exactly. I might count them later. I feel no, maybe this is 50 words. I remember struggling to hit a word count, and they were like maybe 50 words. I'll count in a sec. Tale Traveller by Georgia Debney, aged 10. Waking up in a bed not mine, I leave and end up in the woods. I see 3 bears. No, I'm in Goldilocks. So I travel through more stories, both scary and sweet. When I reach a place saying, the end, I wake up, I was just dreaming. Lucky. And like, I think the idea is like I was going through the actual book. So like, this is high concept for a 10-year-old. But because I was limited to... I'm counting it, wait. I got to 49 words. Okay, so I was under the 50 word limit, but it's cringe, right? But it's kind of cute at like the idea. And then also I feel like the reason that this got picked is because I was 10 years old, and there is some serious punctuation and grammar going on here. I wake up, dash, I was just dreaming. Like, I feel like it is quite good. And I was using like the commas and full stops, exclamation marks. I used a quotation mark. I ended in a 1-word sentence with a full stop, very definitive, like lucky. I'm kind of good it didn't put any semicolons in, because I'm quite preferable to semicolon now, but you know, writers have to have room to grow. Kind of curious if there's anyone that I remember in this book, because obviously I remember the people I went to school with, except for there's this one kid who seems to be in the year below because he's 9, and I don't think I ever knew him, but I know literally everyone else in this book from my school. But like from the other schools in the area, I don't see any familiar names, but I would kind of love it if there's someone that I just met randomly years later, because it's all very Northwest based. There's also the school that was considered our rival school, so that's quite interesting. I'm seeing a lot of familiar last names, but it could have just been people from like, you know, Lancashire. I did that, and then a few years later I decided I wanted to do it again, but instead of it being like a short story anthology, this one was a poetry competition called Poetry Rivals. I think I did it because there was like a cash prize. They had this level where if you made it through this first stage, you got into the book, and then if you made it to the next stage, you got invited to a poetry slam. And that was quite cool because I hadn't been to that sort of thing, but I was always competitive even as a kid. Have you noticed? I'm competitive. And then if you go to the poetry slam, then if you win it, you get a cash prize, and they had an adult and a kids division. This came out in 2011. So that would have made me like 13, 14, I think. Would have been like 12 or 13. It depends on the month. I was born in 1998, maths wise. And then you go through it, and I'm on page 35 out of, how many pages in this book? Out of like just over 200 pages. So go to page 35. Oh my god, I opened it exactly on my page after the contents. Oh no way. And this one is called Soul. Now, I don't think there was a given theme for this one. The one I'm opposite is called Just a Dream. The thing about compiling anthologies is like you have to make a cohesive flow throughout the whole book. Like each piece, each poem has its own individual story, but then also you have to, like, if someone decided they want to sit down and read a poetry book, they have to go from start to finish in like a flow of emotions. There's another one here called Happy Ever After, followed by I Love Cricket and Untitled. It's just, the theme says a canvas of life. Let me see what the intention was. If they have like a, there they go, they have a foreword. The other book had a foreword too. I'm pretty confident these are like the same people and they just renamed from Young Writers to Poetry Rivals like later on. I don't know, it's this forward poetry. There must have been a reason I came across this one when I was searching for it and trying to remember what it was, but I think they just rebranded because it seems very similarly formatted. The foreword, In 2009, Poetry Rivals was launched. It was one of the biggest and most prestigious... I feel like I don't know if I've been proven right or wrong because that book was from before 2009, I'm pretty sure. It was one of the biggest and most prestigious competitions ever held by Forward Poetry. Due to the popularity and success of this talent contest like no other, we have taken Poetry Rivals into 2011, where it has proven to be even bigger and better than last year. Poets of all ages and from all corners of the globe were invited to write a poem that showed true creative talent, a poem that would stand out from the rest. We are proud to present the resulting anthology, an inspiring collection of verse carefully selected by our team of editors, reflecting the vibrancy of the modern poetic world. It is brimming with imagination and diversity. As well as encouraging creative expression, Poetry Rivals has given writers a vital opportunity to showcase their work to the public, thus providing it to a wider audience it so richly deserves. Which, you know, I totally agree with, but it doesn't really speak to, like, the theme of a whole book. It's just modern life, modern poetry. Mine was called Soul. I can't remember anything about it, but I remember I felt quite proud of it at the time, to be honest. So let's see. I was in my emo stage, probably. I'm still emo as fuck, but... It tends to only come out when I can be bothered getting dressed up now. A pitiful soul lost in darkness, a soul wallowing in despair, void. A void that engulfs this being. This being is broken through tragedy. Such an event that molds life. What is life? Life is not being born, not walking, talking, seeing, breathing. That is to survive, not to live. To live is to experience, to love, to care, to sense and save others from this tragedy. Be it drugs, alcohol, or worse, be it a family or friend disaster, keep them from the void. Are you safe, surrounded by peace? Yes, I expect you are, because it finds you. It may be subtle, may even hide, but only the blessed avoid this tragedy. Think, are you blessed? Are you safe from this? Do you have friends, relatives, maybe even a pet whom you love? So, are you safe from this tragedy, this void, this darkness? May this soul find the light. Georgia, age 13. So it's only 3 years later, after I made that mess. I feel like I made quite a lot of progress as a writer, to be honest, in that little time. I think I was in my phase of I want to be an author, like, because I've always been a creative person. Every career aspiration I ever had, it was based around something creative. Later on, I found, like, YouTube and video making, and I feel like I'm really a visual medium person primarily, but I do still really love words. I'm a big talker, like, most people can't get me to shut the fuck up. And seriously now, you could, like, I don't know if you can see it here. If you can't, then I'll try and include a picture later. The formatting of this is quite good. Like, I didn't use much creative spacing, but there are times where I try to, like, connect the first and last. Oh, I've forgotten all the terminology now. It's, like, not a verse, because it's not like a song, but maybe it is. But, you know, the sections. And then it's like, what is life is the last line. And then the first line of the next section is, life is not being born. And then it's like, because, last line. Because it finds you, first line. Like, I think I played with language quite creatively in the construct at the very least. Honestly, I don't think it's so bad, but I didn't get invited to the Poetry Slam that year, so I thought next year I want to try. And then I had a friend who, I'm not going to name her because of what this actually relates to, but I had a friend in primary school. I really got on with her. We used to hang out all the time. I used to go over to her house and play The Sims on her computer a lot because I didn't have it and I really enjoyed The Sims. And we, like, were really close for a solid period of time in my childhood. And she wanted to also take part in the competition because she also wanted to go to London and possibly perform and have a cash prize, which, you know, young teenagers, young children, you want to do that, you want money. I still like money now, quite frankly, but she couldn't write, so I thought, well, I'm going to write my entry for the next year's competition, and then why not? I would like to go with her, so I'll write her an entry too. And I can't remember what my entry was about. I don't have the book with me, and I can't remember, well, it doesn't matter because I can't remember what I wrote her exactly, but I remember it was like high school themed. And then my entry didn't get in, but her entry did. Except I ghost wrote it. And I wasn't sure if I was, like, more annoyed or not. She didn't get invited to the event. If she got invited to the next stage, I would have been like, whoa, plagiarism. Isn't plagiarism if I encouraged it though? Like, I would feel bad writing her out, but that's my work, man. Like, imagine if she went and performed it and won. Like, friendship over. Like, we don't really talk now anymore, but it's not because we're falling out, it's just because life be like that. But imagine. And I don't have a copy of the book, but it's still called Poetry Rivals. I looked up the following year. So this is the book. This was the following year, and I did not get into this. I'm tempted to buy the book just because, like, there's one here for like £2 something. I'm tempted to get it. But I have a poem here that is not credited to me, and I'm not gonna name her because she will be in like the contents, and I feel like she, at this point, you know how memories be, maybe she thinks she did write it. I literally don't know what to do about that because I didn't like the entry I wrote her, because as a teenager, I wrote her something I thought was like okay and might actually get her to come to the event with me, but I purposefully tried to write it not as good. And then it got in. And then my mum has this talent of constantly not showing an interest in my work, except for when she wants to compliment something that I did not contribute to in the work. Like, she'll compliment a short film I worked on, and then she'll be like, oh, the script was so good. And it's like, I didn't write the script, Michelle. I was the producer, the AD, I didn't write it. And then she's like got a constant trend of that. All I can say is I am not my own target audience a lot of the time, because even when I'm like showing clients photo galleries for them to pick out like the ones to be edited in like high resolution delivery, and they always pick the ones that I don't really like and I would have scrapped, which is why I never delete anything. I never like cull before I get approval on what the person wants, and then this is why I dump literally anything and everything on my stock photo platforms or my stock media platforms, because I don't know what someone's gonna buy. They always buy the weirdest thing, and they normally buy my least favorite version of a gallery of which I have many variants. I have decided, since one of my most popular videos is how to make a photo book for Amazon KDP, so I have a KDP account, and I feel like a lot of these platforms you have to like keep uploading to them to like show up in the algorithm and be like, yeah, this is really good. Like, not purely, it is sometimes just on the merit of the product, but to help the on-platform SEO for their e-commerce marketplace, you sort of need to keep adding stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, this author is like a really continuous person who's going to keep bringing in as many, so we should promote them, that sort of thing. And I feel like I need to add more stuff, but I'm not particularly dying to add a new photo book right now. So I feel like I want to make, I originally said a poetry book, but I want like a collection, because you have to have the coherent story throughout. But I don't know many topics where I could consistently pump out enough poems to fill, it's a minimum 50 pages before you can even like bind the book. It's like 40 something, maybe 48, but like minimum 50 pages to create the actual product. But I want to have like a sizable pit, like maybe not this thick, because I don't know if I could produce that much on my own, but I want to do like a collection of poems and short stories, so then I actually have something with actual words on Amazon KDP, especially because it's Kindle Direct Publishing, and I only have photo books right now, which you can't actually put on Kindle. And for Kindle you can get paid like per page, but for photo books you have to buy a physical copy. So I hope I can make something that would actually bring in a bit of an audience. I'm kind of stuck on the subject matter. I have an idea of what I want to do, but I don't want to like speak it and then not make it right now, because I feel like if I'm going to make a written product that I actually really enjoy, it's going to take me a while. It's not going to be one of those things I can pump out in an hour. Like photo books, all the hard work is done. Like you've got the collection of edited photos and you just got to put them on a page and move on. But when you're writing, I'm probably going to do this bit by bit over a long period. So if you've got any themes that you think I could portray really well, then let me know in the comments, but I doubt you know exactly what I could speak poetic justice to in my mind. Let me know if you took part in Poetry Rivals and if you can guess what the poem is that I ghostwrote, because I feel like if the author, was it the same, wait, I didn't find out who edited this one. It said a collection of editors. It was kind of crunkled on the corner, but here it says edited by Jenny Bannister. Let's see if the following year was also Jenny Bannister. Go away. Zoom in, zoom in. Helen Davies. Okay, Helen Davies, if you see this somehow, I want you to know what happened, and I don't necessarily care if you want to do anything about it, considering it's such an old book at this point, like 2012, that's like, what, 12 years ago? I doubt you're going to be printing any more variants, but that is my ghostwriting credit, and I'm recording it here now for society and for posterity. So thank you very much. Please like and subscribe.